What's good? It's your boy Jay. That's me. TNA Hard to Kill from January the 13th, 2024. The first premium live event of the year is officially in the books. It's over and done with. We're going to talk about it and we're going to discuss it. I think TNA is headed in the right direction. They still have a couple of things to work out, a couple of kinks to work out, but they'll get there. But I do think that, for the most part, the show itself was decent. They could have done better in some aspects, but they did what they could. And I feel like this is going to be TNA's moment so far this year. And I think TNA is going to do extremely big things in 2024 for sure. Definitely. They're definitely on the right track. So we're going to get into the pre-show. I didn't watch it at all. It was exclusively on TNA Plus, which TNA has partnered with Endeavor. So that's good. So there may or may not be a partnership with WWE in due time. But it might happen. You never know. So, pre-show. Steve Maclin versus Rich Swann. Steve Maclin wins via the KIA, which is Killed in Action. Nice. I love that name for a finisher. I think that's pretty cool. Moving on. So Gia Miller, she interviewed Eddie Edwards and Alicia Edwards, Brian Myers and Moose, and the former NFL player D'Angelo Williams. Moose says tonight they'll show the world why they should always trust the system. So I guess Moose has a new lame ass faction. Oh my God. Oof. Moving on. So DJ Who Kid, he introduces AJ Francis, forever known as Top Dollar. So AJ says it's not about the fans, it's about him. AJ Francis starts to rap, but Joe Hendry's music hits. Joe Hendry welcomes AJ Francis to TNA. And then he showed everyone a new music video making fun of AJ Francis and DJ Who Kid. And then after that, DJ Who Kid, he smashes his laptop over Joe Hendry, and then AJ Francis hits a choke slam on Joe Hendry. So I guess they're going to start a feud between the two. I'm fine with that. It makes sense. So Top Dollar starting with TNA was inevitable. It does make sense. So smart move, though. Smart move. Very, very smart move, I guess. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how he does in the mid card. That's all he's going to be. He's just going to be a mid card guy. I don't see AJ Francis being a main event guy. I don't see that at all. Period. So I think he's a nice little guy to have in the mid card, and nothing more, nothing less. So moving on. The System, which is Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers versus the TNA Originals, Frankie Kazarian, Eddie, and Eric Young. I didn't care about the match at all. So the System wins via a roster cut and then a Bought the Knee party. So there's that. Who cares? And then the final pre-show match was Tommy Dreamer versus Crazy Steve. No DQ for the TNA Digital Media Championship. So, Crazy Steve gets the win via the DDT. So, Crazy Steve wins. Who cares? It's not that important. Again, this is TNA's version of the 24/7 championship, and it should stay as such. So, this is fine. On to the main card. So, we had a really good introduction by narrated by Eric Young. And then you got all the TNA wrestlers and Scott D'Amore standing around the ramp and everything else. And then Eric Young says that we are TNA. So that was pretty cool. He kind of took like a thing out of Triple H's handbook that he used to do for NXT Black and Gold. So first match of the night for Hard to Kill was the Knockouts Ultimate X featuring Giselle Shaw, Zaya Brookside, who was in NXT UK for a little while, Jody Threat, Tasha Steelz, Alicia Edwards, and Danny Luna. So I was predicting that Danny Luna or Tasha Steelz was going to win. I was wrong in that regard. So Giselle Shaw gets the win. Who cares? TNA already fucked up with this one. They've already fucked up. Moving on. So AJ Francis, he cut a backstage promo on his appearance earlier on in the night on the Countdown show to Hard to Kill, and he says that there's a bunch of things in the store. We're gonna create a new music video and we'll show it to the fans soon, or something like that. I wasn't paying attention. I was still pissed off from what happened with Giselle Shaw winning the Knockouts Ultimate X match. Next, PCO versus Dirty Dango. So before the match, Dirty Dango and Johnny Bravo, they get on the mic and they take a second to express their hatred for TNA wrestling, which was always good. So basically, Dirty Dango gets DQ'd because Johnny Bravo got involved in an attack PCO. So the ref throws out the match. So then PCO is jumped by Bravo and Dirty Dango. Then Rhino comes out. He makes the save. And then Rhino and Oleg Prudius, a.k.a. Vladimir Kozlov, they have a little stare down, and then Santino Marella, he comes out, and he says that it's going to be a 6-man tag, and then he introduces Jake something. So then this turns into a 6-man tag, which is Dirty Dango, Bravo, and Oleg Prudius versus PCO, Rhino, and Jake something. PCO gets the win via the PCO assault on Bravo. Who gives a shit? This is a waste of time. I hate when TNA does shit like this. This is boring. You don't need to do stuff like this. I don't know why. This is just to get Jake something on the card and all that stuff. I like Jake something, but they need to have something for him to do. And this just wasn't it. Again, we can't keep pushing guys like Rhino and PCO and guys like that. If you're going to do that, you need to put these guys in the mid-card and keep them in the mid-card, low mid-card, and that's it. Leave their matches basically for the pre-show and stuff like that. Don't put these matches on the main card. Just don't. It's a dumbass decision. Next, so we head backstage. We see a mysterious woman coming out of a car, and we just see the back of her. So we don't know who it is. And then, out of the blue, the lights go out, and Decay comes out. No, MK Ultra comes out. And then lights go out, and then out comes Decay to a decent reaction. So we get an impromptu Knockouts World Tag Team title match. So MK Ultra, which is Killer Kelly, and Masha Slamovich versus Decay, which is Rosemary and Havoc. Out of nowhere, like TNA always does, Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly, they lose to Decay. And it makes no sense. So, there's one point in the match where Masha, she hit the snowplow. And Havoc, she no-sells it, and it pisses me off. She kicks out at 1. I'm pissed off with that shit. That pissed me off. Like, I was done with the match after that. I was like, what the hell? So, we have new Knockouts Tag Team Champions in Decay. I'm not a big fan of it. It's just going back to the Impact old formula, and you don't need to do it. MK Ultra was a great team. You could have brought in a new tag team like Mandy Rose and Lacey Evans or something like that, or bring in the Hex or something, but they didn't need to do that at all. So, moving on from that nonsense. So, Scott D'Amore, he comes out to the stage and he welcomes Dorian from AAA. As TNA and AAA are officially forming a partnership. They both signed a contract in front of the fans. So that was pretty cool there. So Dorian, he thanked the fans and everything else. So that was great. So this leads us into the triple threat for the X Division Championship. Chris Sabin, Kushida, and El Hingo Vidal Kingo. So this is a pretty good little match here. Chris Sabin wins via the Cradle Shock. Makes sense. Next, moving on from that, we had Alex Hammerstone versus Josh Alexander. You would think that Hammerstone would win, right? Well, you're incorrect. TNA's Golden Boy, Josh Alexander, got the win via a C4 spike power driver. It took one of them to put away Hammerstone. I'm just like, oh my God, TNA, what are you doing? What are you doing? I hope that Hammerstone gets signed by TNA. I want him to be signed with TNA. I think he would do solid there. If not, if they decide to pass on him, he needs to go directly to NXT, and I think that he'll be pushed to the moon, and he would be a solid hand to have on the main roster. Alex Hammerstone is a guy that you can build a wrestling promotion around, for sure. If he goes to AEW, he's fucked. Hammerstone is fucked. He's going to be lost in the shuffle. He'll be doing stuff on Rampage and Collision. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. So, hopefully he'll show up at NXT sometime. Maybe at NXT Vengeance Day in February. So in about, 3 weeks from now, he'll show up maybe. So hopefully Hammerstone signs with WWE. I think he will. So if he doesn't, he's got TNA that he can sign with, and he's got WWE. But he needs to basically avoid AEW like the plague for sure, because they would royally fuck him over. Royally. Next, the Fatal 4-Way tag team match featuring ABC, which is Ace Austin and Chris Bay, versus Grizzly Young Vets, versus the Rascals, versus Mike Bailey and Laredo Kid. It was originally supposed to be Trent Seven in that match, but he got caught in bad weather or whatever, so he was unable to make it there. So that's why Laredo Kid was substituted in. So Ace Austin and Chris Bay, they retain via the Fold and the Art of Finesse. They pinned Trey Miguel, and then they had a little stare down between the Grizzled Young Vets. So I'm thinking that the Grizzled Young Vets probably are going to sign with TNA for sure. I think that makes the most sense. Because TNA needs a really serious tag division. They need a rebuilding. They really do. They need to start to rebuild that tag team. And what better way to start that off by having the Grizzled Young Vets on their roster for that? I think that would be great. So we'll see where it goes. Next, Trinity versus Jordynne Grace. So before the match, they showed Ash by Elegance, which is who is basically Dana Brooke. I don't know why they're calling her that. They should just call her Ashley Elegance or Ash Elegance. That's what I would have done. So this is a pretty decent little match. So Jordynne Grace wins via the Grace Driver. And then post-match, Jordynne Grace... No, the Juggernaut Driver, my bad. I don't know why I always call it the Grace Driver. It's the Juggernaut Driver. Post-match, they show Dana Brooke clapping at ringside, and she's cheering everybody on, cheering them on. And then Jordynne embraces Trinity, and that was it. So, it makes sense for that to happen. We all knew that Trinity was going to go back to WWE anyway, so expect to see her in the Royal Rumble for sure. I think that's going to make the most sense. She'll probably work a couple of the tapings for Snake Eyes, so I think that would be great. But Trinity leaving TNA, it's going to suck, but it does make the most sense because TNA did not think long-term to lock her in a deal. I would have locked Trinity in a deal for at least two to 3 years, at least 3 years. So that's what I would have done because she came in the company, what was it? She came in the company sometime last year. I think it was at Rebellion she came in the company. It was at Rebellion, I believe. I can't remember when it was, but I know it was sometime last year. And she didn't stay long. She only stayed like 8 to 10 months. She didn't even stay long. She didn't even stay a year. And that's not good. TNA just also lost Deonna Purrazzo. And now they've lost Trinity. So they need a shot in the arm. I mean, Dana Brooke can help character-wise, but they're going to need more than Dana Brooke. They're going to need way more than that. But Trinity will definitely be showing back up at the Royal Rumble for sure. Next, main event. Alex Shelley versus Moose for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Moose wins via the spear. And Moose is the new TNA champion. Post-match, Nick Nemeth, a.k.a. Dolph Ziggler, he makes his TNA debut. Moose tries to attack him. Ryan Nemeth dodges Moose's punch. He hits a super kick and then the zigzag. And then he hightails it to the crowd. He rips off the tank top that he was wearing, and it's a TNA wrestling shirt. And the crowd pops, holy shit, holy shit. And then we go off the air. So Dolph Ziggler was their big signing, and it makes sense, and I am down for this. Dolph Ziggler is going to take TNA to new heights. Dolph Ziggler is going to put TNA on the map. He's going to. He's going to. I feel like... Oh, I forgot to mention Steve Maclin. He cut a promo earlier on in the show saying that, he doesn't care who comes in, who, TNA brings in with this big signing. So he's just going to, tag him and bag him. So I forgot to mention that. But Dolph Ziggler signing, being the signing, makes perfect sense. I am down for it. It makes TNA look legit and a credible third option if people can't get into WWE or AEW. And I think they should slow build Dolph Ziggler, a.k.a. Nick Nemeth. They should slow build Nick. They don't need to strap the rocket directly to him just yet. I would at least let Moose be a transitional champion. At least let him keep it to Rebellion or by Slammiversary. I would say Slammiversary. So by Slammiversary, which is in July, you give Moose a 6-month reign as champion, and then he loses it to Nick Nemeth at Slammiversary. So I think hopefully that's what they go with. I don't want them to go with Moose and Nick Nemeth at Rebellion because that's too short. That's in April. That's just in 3 months. And that's not good. So I think Moose having like a 6-month reign as champion will be fine. He's a decent heel, even though I don't like his shitty ass faction. But I think that would be great for Dolph Ziggler to win at Slammiversary in July, come July. So I think, Moose having a 6-month reign will be credible. I think that'd be good. And I think one thing I noticed is that the main event scene is going to change. Now that Dolph Ziggler's there, I think it's going to change. I think they're going to bring in more main eventers. I don't think that... I think guys like Josh Alexander and Steve Maclin and all those guys, I think those guys will stand in the mid-card. I don't see Josh Alexander being champion at all this year. I don't see him being TNA champion at all this year. I think, it's time for TNA to move completely away from Josh Alexander and Moose and Steve Maclin and all those guys and just build the company around Ziggler. Hopefully we also see Elias show up, a.k.a. Elijah, show up as well. I think we'll see him in the coming months as well. Mustafa Ali, he probably will show up eventually. I know he debuted at New Japan Battle in the Valley. So he showed up there. So that was great. So you had 2 wrestling shows going on, which was great. So Mustafa's probably going to do the Dolph Ziggler thing as well. He'll be in New Japan for a couple months, and then he'll probably go to TNA and probably tear it up in the X Division. But Dolph Ziggler being the face of TNA is great. It makes sense, and he's credible, and he's going to put basically asses in seats. TNA just needs to bring in guys that can work with him and guys that can get him over, and we'll be good. But all in all, Hard to Kill was good. I enjoyed it for the most part. There were some downsides to the show, but there was more good than bad that happened on the show. We could have done without Moose's lame-ass faction. We could have done without Giselle Shaw winning. We could have done without the impromptu knockouts tag team title match. I don't know why they put the tag straps back on Decay. I don't get it. I really don't. But it is what it is. But, also, with Alex Hammerstone losing to Josh Alexander, that was a dumbass decision. That was stupid. Whoever came up with that should be banned from the wrestling industry altogether. That was a dumbass decision. But I think Dolph Ziggler is going to do very, very well in TNA. And I hope that TNA has signed him to a multi-year deal. I'm serious. Like, they can't sign him to like a 6-month deal or a year deal. He needs to be signed to at least a strong 3-year deal under lock and key. And I think 2024 is shaping up to be Dolph Ziggler's year. So, what did you guys think of Hard to Kill? Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.